Hello everyone and welcome to the final part of the Call Them Husbands challenge. Today's ship is SemiShiraKawaGata. I know it's a day late, but I hope you will forgive me for this and I hope you will like this. Let's go. Oi, Taichi. Huh? The bartender looked up surprised, a pen still pressed between his lips as he had previously used it to take notes with. The evening was fairly calm and he hadn't much to do at the moment, except for the occasional order. His colleague smirked and just nodded over to the other end of the bar near the door. Following his gaze, Taichi was surprised to see Semi approaching. The musician smiled sheepishly and sat down in one of the chairs. Taichi quickly fastened the pen and notebook to his apron before walking over to his boyfriend, yet his co-worker/manager stopped him halfway. How long until your shift ends? Half an hour, I think. His eyes searched the room for a clock to confirm, but the other waves him off. It's calm tonight. Unless a sudden party breaks out, you're free to leave in 10 minutes. Thanks. He gave a short bow before continuing on his way, a smile spreading on his face. And what can I bring you today, sir? Semi chuckled, and without looking at the menu, leaned over the counter slightly and ordered a cola. I still have to drive me and my boyfriend home safely today. Your boyfriend, huh? His hands retrieved the necessary items in fluid, practiced movements as he kept up the conversation flawlessly. He tried to ignore that half-teasing, half-dreamy look in Semi's eyes as he observed him. Yeah, he's pretty amazing, smart and kind. He also looks stunning and utterly adorable when he chews on his pen in concentration. He'd crept up his cheeks alarmingly fast, but with a bit of effort, and hiding his face by pretending to have to receive something from the other side of the bar, he managed to compose himself as he placed the glass in front of him. Oh, I didn't know Shirabu was nearby. Taichi. Semi whined and leaned a little closer over the counter, which didn't improve Taichi's composure at all. It was so odd how strongly their presence affected him. Playfully ditching customers' attempts to flirt with him was easy, but as soon as one of them gave him one of these soft, caring looks through long lashes, his knees got weak. It wasn't fair, he decided. Hopefully, this challenge would teach them a lesson. Wait, the challenge. Right. He could do this. Just don't look into his eyes. He leaned back slowly, looking around aimlessly until he spotted another customer further back. I'm afraid I still have a job to do. I can't only serve my husband, even if he's as handsome as you. He tried to wink and without another glance quickly turned around to leave. The sound of shattering glass made him freeze mid-step, followed by coughing. Semi? Damn it. I'm sorry. I'll pay for the glass. Wait, let me. The glass had shattered on the ground, cola and tiny shards were spreading everywhere, and Semi quickly leaned down to clean the mess before Taichi could stop him. He threw an apologetic look at his co-worker, who handed him a broom and towel. No worries, happens all the time here. Before he managed to walk around the bar completely, a hiss echoed from where Semi had been moments before, and when he came into view, Taichi paled. Blood seeped from a cut in his hand, and he now clutched tightly. Something was glittering between his fingers, and Taichi had the slight inkling that it wasn't confetti. Oh, Ada. Makoto-kun, is the towel fresh? They nodded, a little confused, but Taichi took it with relief as he saw Semi's hand up close. The cut was deeper than he would have liked, and he quickly pressed the towel onto the wound. It earned him a paint groan. I know it hurts, but you need to apply pressure. Yeah, I got it. He pressed his lips together tightly as the towel was wrapped around his hand in a makeshift bandage. The fabric turned slowly crimson, but still way too fast as should be normal. Makoto? He looked around for his co-worker, who almost gave him a heart attack as he appeared behind them. Taichi hadn't even noticed him approaching, too focused on what's in front of him. That looks bad. Better bring him to the ER. We got it from here. Thank you. If there is ever a shift you need me to take... no worries. Though I'll keep it in mind. The ER, as always, was hectic. Nothing major, but Taichi was glad when they were put behind a curtain off to the side to wait for the doctor. Upon arrival, Semi's hand had been quickly examined and the bleeding could be stopped, but he still needed to have the glass removed and proper stitches. Suddenly, a soft chuckle echoed from where Semi was laying on the stretcher, and he looked up at him with a smirk tugging his lips upward. Do you think Kenjiro will be mad at us? Taichi gulped. He hadn't even thought of it, and Shirabu's wrath certainly wasn't something he was hoping for. Probably. We showed up unannounced in the ER. With one of the stupidest injuries at that. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. What for? You only dropped the glass because I said that. Now you'll need stitches and won't be able to play guitar for a while. He had thought about it the whole way here, the implications this injury could have, all just because of him. Nah, I was the one stupid enough to drop the glass. But I'm really curious. What was that about? Feeling kinda as though Semi had caught him in a lie, Taichi subconsciously scratched his neck in a nervous gesture as a sheepish smile tugged the corners of his lips upward. It was kind of a challenge from Iwaizumi-kun to see how you would react. For a moment, the silverhair just stared at him, then laughter filled the room. I guess I reacted kind of poorly then. Oh, do you plan on doing the challenge on Shirabu as well? Yeah, well, that was the plan. Mind doing me a favor and wait until he gets here? That's something I'd pay money to see. I'm almost mad I didn't come up with this myself. Would have loved to see you flustered. Then again, hearing you calling me that might just have been worth it. The longer Semi talked, the more blood seemed to travel into Taichi's cheeks, and his voice suddenly seemed gone. If Shirabu would show up now, he doubted he could muster little more than a stutter. Luckily, he had some time to catch himself, and even more fortunately, Semi stopped rambling about how cute he apparently looked when blushing, after a doctor finally arrived and started removing the glass shards. Some tiny, others not so much. Taichi almost got dizzy watching it, and he was usually not squeamish around blood. From his side, he could hear the occasional pain groan from the musician, despite painkillers and a mild form of local anesthesia. He tried comforting him by squeezing his shoulder, but it seemed to have little impact in the great scheme of things. Just as his thoughts threatened to get infected with guilt again, hectic steps echoed from down the room, and a voice he'd recognize anywhere. What do you mean, just slightly? They are injured, and nobody told me sooner? I was right here. The doctor in training seemed almost frantic. Almost. Taichi was surely concerned this might reflect badly on him, but the compassionate look from the doctor told him not to worry too much. The curtain was ripped aside, and before him the disheveled image of their boyfriend appeared. Worry mixed with rage was written all over his face. "Hi." Semi grinned and waved at him with his good hand. "Shirabu-kun, do you know these patients?" The youngest started to answer when Taichi interrupted him, not wanting the opportunity to go to waste. "We are his husbands." The young doctor in training visibly paled before blood rushed equally as fast to his cheeks. He mustered a small nod before his eyes fixated on the work his colleague was doing on his boyfriend's hand. At this point, the worst was over. The glass shards had been completely removed, and she closed the wound with skilled movements, swiftly stitching the skin together. Just like Taichi before, he seemed to need a moment to gather his thoughts, but as soon as he did, the surprise faded and a scowl sat on his face. He looked at them sternly. "How did that happen?" "I dropped a glass." Semi tried for nonchalance, but Shirabu's wrath was nothing to underestimate. "And just grabbed a handful of it afterwards and squeezed, or what?" "Well, I got a bit distracted." He reached out with his other hand and held Shirabu's gently. "Were you worried?" "You almost gave me a heart attack. What was I supposed to think when Tanimoto-san told me you were admitted to the ER?" "Who?" "One of the nurses." "I'm sorry, Kenshiro." Shirabu hummed noncommittedly and turned to the attending physician again. The cut wasn't too deep. Many small superficial wounds made it look worse than it actually was. None of the important structures to maintain mobility seemed to be damaged. This should heal without complications, as long as it's kept clean and you rested for the next couple of days. "Thank you." Taichi sighed relieved, silently praying the last part of this challenge wouldn't be equally disastrous. Taichi's phone vibrated with an incoming message on the table next to him. Despite already being put on silence, it made a slight buzzing sound as it danced across the wood. He could already guess who it was. Since he started the challenge with Semi, a few days had passed, and the others were waiting for the results. But ever since, there had been no real opportunity to do the challenge. Mostly, he didn't even get to spend time with Hayato at all, with his shifts being at night while the other worked during the day. His mind was exhausted. He was exhausted, and it got worse the longer he was deprived of his boyfriend's cuddles, which happened far too often lately. He was too tired to think of an excuse for going out and doing a stupid challenge. For a moment, he just let himself sink into the chair, having just received his schedule for the next week. He hadn't even had time to think since when their life had gotten so hectic when his phone announced its presence again, this time with a call. What? He should have probably checked the caller ID before answering so frustrated, his voice laced with tired resignation. To his surprise, he didn't recognize the voice immediately. "Hey, Taichi, that you?" They sounded drunk, or at least tipsy, and Taichi had to strain his ears to search for any kind of familiarity in the sound. "Yes? Who is this?" "It's Katayama. We met. In the games, you know." Slowly, the pieces clicked into place. Katayama was one of Hayato's teammates. They weren't particularly close, but definitely on friendly terms. However, they weren't close enough for him to have Taichi's number. He frowned slightly and lifted his phone from his ear to check the caller ID. To his surprise, it showed him Hayato. Right. Where's Hayato? Oh yeah, that's why I'm calling. The minute it took Katayama to gather his thoughts was enough for one catastrophic event after another to rush through Daichi's head. He felt the nails of his right hand digging into his palm as he waited tensely for the other to get his stuff together. You see, the game today was a total success, and we went to the bar to celebrate. But now, I don't think you should go home alone. Could you pick him up? I would bring him, but, well, I'm not much better. Sure, I'm on my way. Give me 10 minutes. He wrapped up the call and swiftly gathered his things to put them aside. While he put on his shoes and jacket, he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. The relief from hearing none of his worst-case scenarios confirmed seemed only temporary. It was the moment he arrived at the bar that he noticed. Hayato had a game today, one that was clearly important to him and the team, and he hadn't been there to support him. He didn't even realize that it was today. Why didn't the libero tell him? He shook his head. He was his boyfriend. It was his job to know these things. Furthermore, he probably did tell him, but he forgot because he was so tired. If that was true, Taichi! Hayato gave him this type of half grin, half smile only drunk people could muster, though it was mixed with his typical enthusiasm. Hey, had fun? He nodded and quickly closed the distance between them, abandoning his teammates without a second thought, which almost made him chuckle as he saw their faint, hurt reactions in the background, while some formed hearts with their hands or made kissing noises. How childish. He smiled fondly. What are you doing here? I'm here to pick up my husband. Hayato looked at him confused, and it seemed to take a while for the words to process. Your husband? He looked around as though he was searching for someone else that fit the description better, without much success as it seems. The confused frown returned to his face, which was really unfair considering how utterly adorable it was. Taichi gently but firmly cupped his cheeks and made the libero meet his gaze. I'm talking about you, dummy. I'm here to pick you up and bring you home. Suddenly, the smile of his eyes began to sparkle, and before Taichi knew it, he found himself tackled in his embrace, though whether it was from the exhaustion or the alcohol, neither the impact nor his grip were very strong. Taichi immediately reached out to steady him at his side. I love you too. That made his cheeks warm. How could he be so precious even in these circumstances? With a little bit of trial and error and a lot of teasing, they managed to say goodbye to his team and leave, though the whole way Hayato refused to let go of him. And honestly, he could live with that. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Tell me in the comments which was your favorite part of this series, and if you liked it. If you did, consider leaving a like and consider subscribing because it would help the channel out so much. Also, a little side note, I was pretty tired on almost every step when I did this part. I don't know why. Lately I've been not doing so well in some parts, so it might be biased, but I don't think this part, it didn't felt quite right. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong to assume that. Special thanks to my nerdy neckos, as always, you are amazing. And here you can check out my other social media. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful and amazing day. Next video should be up tomorrow.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing. Wake up.
Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up,